everyone, it's Lisa. Today I'm going to show you how to make this super cute little sketchbook carrier. And you can make your own sketchbooks. There's a video for that too. So these are great for sketchbooks and agenda books and calendars. And you can add filler pages and do all kinds of crazy things with it. You could give them as gifts to your friends or to your teachers, or I just don't even know. Ideas are endless. But it's a super cute little book. Alright, so let's get started. What you're going to need for this cute little project is some little notebooks, and I have a separate video to show you how to make your own tiny little notebooks. And you'll need some of these, and you'll also need some small elastic. Now this elastic just came from when you buy a pair of shoes, and you know how they're all tied together. You can just pick up some elastic there, or you can go to the craft store and get some thin round elastic, but you see it's got this nice stretchy and roundness to it. And then you're going to need some fabric, and I'm using vinyl, and the nice thing about vinyl is that it doesn't fray when you cut it. It keeps its edges nice and smooth. When you cut it, it doesn't lose its edge. If you don't have vinyl, you could use all kinds of things. You could use felt or polar fleece. If you have an old fleece sweater that doesn't fit anymore, you could use that, or you could use denim. You have to be a little careful with denim though, because the edges will fray a little bit. This is really frayed because on this edge it's cut crookedly, and I'm not on quite on the edge. You can take care of some of that by pulling it off, but it always will continue to fray. You could maybe run a little bit of fabric glue down the edge if you're using denim or some fabric that frays. And then you're going to need a ruler, some scissors, and a pencil. And you're also going to need a pokey thing. This is from my kitchen, and you're going to need something to help pull the elastic through, like this rainbow loom hook. That is everything that we're going to need to get started. So the first thing you're going to do is you're going to make sure that your book fits on your fabric. And so it needs to be, the piece of fabric you're using needs to be bigger than the book in all directions, even folded over. And because we're going to want to put in more than one, or maybe even more than two books inside of this, we want to make sure that the edges of the book, the edges of the folder are thick enough to allow for more pages to be added. So what we're going to do is we're going to place this on here. In fact, we could put these two down at the same time and use this as a template. So you don't even need a pattern to do this. What you're going to do is you're going to use your ruler. You're going to draw some lines on this vinyl page, on this piece of fabric or vinyl, and we're just going to cut a nice straight edge. Now this one's already pretty straight, so I'm just going to straighten up the edge that I already have here. So I'm just going to run my ruler, my pencil along my ruler, just along here, so you can see a nice straight edge that I've formed. So I'm going to go ahead and trim along that line that I just drew. Okay, so that's going to be one edge of my folder, wallet, notebook, whatever you want to call it. And so portfolio, I'm going to leave just a little bit of an edge around the side here. So this is probably around 1/4 inch, slightly less than 1/2 centimeter. And I'm going to make another edge along this side that is similar. So I'm just going to mark one of the corners, and then I'm going to measure. So I'd like it to be about this wide. So that little dot is showing me how wide to make it. And then I'm just going to measure what distance that was. And it turned out to be exactly 6 inches. Nice. No big surprise there, considering the way I made those little notebooks. So I'm just going to measure from another side over here, straight over exactly 6 inches. And then I'm going to draw a line connecting my two dots. So a good idea is to put your pencil down on this dot and make your ruler touch it. Put your pencil down on this dot, make your ruler touch it, and then just back and forth check that you're nice and straight and holding on, and then make your line connect the dots. Great, and now we're going to cut this part. Okay, so we now have a very nice parallel strip of fabric that we can use to fit these two little books in. So now we need to have a straight edge going down this side, and again we're going to leave about 1/4 inch. I'm just going to straighten this off without worrying too much about the about how far it is, because I can measure that part after. But here's a good trick for making your this line perpendicular and very straight, and it's to find one of your long lines on your ruler and line it up with the edge of your of your straight line already so that it's running right along that line straight. And then you can maybe check if there's another one at the other side, but you can see this gets quite a bit wider at the bottom, so it's not a square. There's other ways to do that, but this is a really quick and easy way. So I'm just going to cut this. So the great thing about not needing a pattern for this is that you can do it on any size at all. So I'm just going to check that this is square. Yeah, it is. Very nice. You see, I'm just checking up against here, against this corner of the cutting mat. Okay, so now I can put my little notebooks on here, back to back, spine to spine, and I can see that I've got a nice 1/4 inch here, and then I'm going to leave a little 1/4 inch in between these two, and then I'm going to measure with my eyeball. I'm going to find a 1/4 inch on this side and just make a dot right there so that I can see that's exactly the size I'd want it to be. And then I'm going to use my ruler to measure how far that is, and I'm going to see that it is 9 1/4 plus 1/8. 9 1/4 plus 1/8. So I'm just going to come over here and find 9 1/4 plus 1/8 and make a dot right there. And draw a line. Now before I cut, they always say measure twice, cut once. So I'm going to draw this line, but before I actually cut it, I'm going to put my little books back in to make sure that this is exactly as big as I wanted it to be. So there I've drawn the line that looks like it's going to be right. And I'll put this one here, I'll put this one here. Yes, it looks very good. It's not wonky in any particular way. Okay, so now I'll cut it. Great. So this is the full size of our little notebook. And notebook holder, wallet, I'm not sure what you call these anyway. I guess it's just a traveler's notebook. You see them in expensive stores all over the place. And so these are going to fit inside. You could even stack more of them. What we're going to do now is figure out where the middle is. So I'm just going to fold it in half, take these out, fold it in half, like so. And then I'm just going to find the middle right here. Now I can still see the middle, but you might want to mark it in a more careful way. So again, just folding it, you can hold down the crease like this and just reach your pencil inside to mark it as the middle. And then for the next one, you could just use this line and measure. Or you would just do math. You could measure the whole thing, which we decided before was 9 1/4 plus 1/16. And so that would be 4 1/2 plus a 1/16 1/2. That's crazy. Anyway, I see the line where the half is. It's exactly where I thought it would be. So there, I'm going to just draw this little indicator to show me where the middle is. And now, I'm just going to put my ruler here, and I'm going to mark the very center of this, which is going to be at 3 inches, because right there, I'm going to make a hole. But what you're going to do is you're going to poke a hole straight through there. Now, you might ask a grown-up to help you with this, because you could hurt yourself, but essentially, you're just pushing straight through here and making a hole in the middle. Now, this part here is going to be the part that holds your book together. And you're going to run a piece of elastic through here in a minute and tie it off so that it can be wrapped around when you're closing it up. So there's one hole, and now we're going to make 2 more holes and up at the top and 2 more holes down at the bottom that will help us to insert these books, because that's going to be super easy. So what you're going to do is, I may as well use these as guides again, why not? You're going to mark dots on the corners of these little notebooks. So I have them just laid out with a nice wide section in the middle, and they're centered. So I'm going to mark 4 dots. I'm going to mark 1 and 2, and at the bottom 3 and 4. So now, just inside of these, so that they're not too close to the edge, I'm going to poke holes here. So I'm going to poke 1, 2, and then on the other side, down here, 3 and 4. All right, so now I can just reinforce those poked holes by coming back from the other side like this and like this. Okay, so now we're going to use, I'm just going to find out if one of these is longer than the other, because they really did just come from shoes. Slightly. Okay, so I'm going to opt for the shorter one because this is going to be a shorter use. But what we're going to do is we're going to put this through and tie it on the inside. But it only needs to be long enough to wrap around here so that it's kind of tight. So what we'll do is we'll measure the length. So starting here, this long plus this long, and then I need a little bit to tie it there. All right, so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to poke this elastic through this little hole that I just made. And again, this might be something would be nice to have help from a grown-up so that you can just grab your twine, your elastic, and pull it through. So now I'll have this loop on the outside. So now I'm just going to take my two ends and bring them close together. I'm going to just adjust this tension here. And now I'm going to tie a knot in the end. So I'm just going to wrap them around each other and make a loop and pass it through. Just like that, and move it over towards the end, like this. Alright, so that's holding my loop together, and it's also going to keep this from slipping completely out of the notebook. So then all you need to do is wrap it around, and it should fit tight like this so that it'll stretch a little bit when it's loaded. So this is going to hold your notebook closed when you're done. Now we're going to thread this other piece through in a special way so that it holds our notebook together. So what we're going to do is we're going to go under, and then we're going to go through to the front and then back through to this side up at this top edge. So let's just get that started. The whole thing is going to begin and end on this side, but we're going to be threading it through like shoelaces. So I'm just going to put my hook through this little hole and bring this through to the front. Now I'm going to pull through all the way so that this edge is out. And then I want to bring it back through the hole. So now I'm going to go from this side. So the first thing I did was I put my hook through this way so I can pull it onto the other side. Now I'm going to put my hook through from this side. I'm going to loop it on my elastic and just bring it on through to this side, like so. And then I'm going to bring it, I'm going to pull it loose tighter a bit here. I'm going to bring it to the other side and do the same thing. So I'm going to pull it through to the back by putting my elastic through here. So hook, poking through. It's hard to do this with a camera angle. Okay, so there I've got it through. Now I'm just going to loop it on and pull it to the other side all the way. And then I'm going to bring it back. So from the wrong side here, I'm going to put my hook through, grab onto this elastic, pull it back through to this side. Do, 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 do. Here I go. This one's a little trickier. Got it. Okay, and let's pull it straight through. So now these two elastics, ends of the elastic, are going to get tied together. And you want, again, for it to have a little bit of tension, because what we're going to be doing is we're going to be using this piece of elastic to hold this book in place, like so. And we want it to be able to grab the book and not be too loose. So these two pieces have to hold each other nicely. All right, so I'm just going to tie a knot here. Actually, I'll get this book out of the way. So I'm just going to tie a knot here. And another one to hold it. You might want someone to put their finger on there for you so that it keeps it in place. And it's never a bad idea to put a little dab of glue on knots after you tie them, especially when they're made of elastic. It will help to really keep them from coming undone. All right, so I'm going to tighten up this knot also by pulling super hard, and then I'm going to trim off my ends. Right, so I just have some no-sew fabric glue, but I think you could really just use any glue here. You could use white glue. The whole idea is just to add a little bit of strength to that knot so it doesn't come off on you, and you can just work it in a little bit. And then let that dry. Same thing on this one. Just add a little bit of glue so it's more permanent. So these make really nice little gifts for your friends, for your teachers. Teachers love stationery, by the way. If you didn't know that, if you don't know what to get for your teacher, always get them something to do with stationery. So I'm just trimming off my little ends. And then, da-da-da-da. This is the entire little cover. Now, it doesn't look like much, but just wait until we put in our sketchbooks. So we can put the first one in, just like this. This one is white paper, and it has an orange cover. Put it there, and I can put my second one. So all I'm doing is opening it until I find the middle, and then I'm just sliding it through and putting it together like this. And then putting it like this. And you can add more booklets to the inside of your notebook. And then you just bring it around like this, and you've got a cute little sturdy carrying folder for your notebooks and your sketchbooks. You can purchase little notebooks that are a similar size to these. These ones are a little bit narrower, and you could use those in there as well. And you could make your own pages as well. You could make pages that were calendars or to-do lists or all sorts of things like that. But and there's ways to add extra pages in here too, or extra notebooks. So all you need is, this is just some braided elastic that you would purchase somewhere. It was $1.70. H.A. Kid Company. Doesn't matter what kind, really. It's just elastic. You're just going to make sure that it is long enough to reach from end to end here, like this, like so. And then you're going to trim it off and tie it into a continuous loop. So if you want to add more notebooks into this carrier, you're going to need some looped elastic that you can insert them with. So we just made this one quick loop, and what we're going to do with this is we're going to take two notebooks and put them together. So I'm just going to open this one to its middle and slide the elastic over until it gets all the way down to the bottom. And then I'm going to do the same thing to another notebook. So I think I'll put it with this red one. So I'm going to take this red one, and I'm going to slide it, I'm going to open it to the middle. I'm going to take this whole half of the notebook and slide it into the same elastic that I had the other one on, and slide it until both of the spines are down together. And then you take these two books and you put them in the same way that you put the others, but you don't have to open it to the middle because this is the middle. So you just slide the whole book underneath this elastic and pull it along until it is now in between the two spines and holding on to this one elastic that's holding everything together. So now we have our first yellow book inside, we have our little red book, and we have our orange book, and we can close them all up together and attach this together like this. So that's holding 3, and if you wanted to hold 4, same thing. We'll just take out this yellow one from this inside, and I'll put these two together with. Okay, so I've got this book open to its middle, and I've got this book open to its middle. I'm just going to slide this elastic all the way down so that it's in the middle of this one and in the middle of this one, and then I can close the two books so that they're holding together, and then just slide your book, the whole thing, straight through until the elastic is grabbing on to this one. Now I have my pink book at the front. You see they're all fitting in there nicely, and then I can just take my elastic and close it up, holding 4 little sketchbooks or notebooks inside. And then anytime you fill a book, you can just remove it and make a new one. So these are great for sketchbooks and agenda books and calendars, and you can add filler pages and do all kinds of crazy things with it. You could give them as gifts to your friends or to your teachers, or I just don't even know. Ideas are endless. But it's a super cute little book. I hope you enjoyed watching me make it today. And I would love it if you would post a picture on Instagram if you make one of your own, or share it with me maybe on Google+. But it would be great to give to a teacher or a friend, and I hope you really enjoyed watching me make this today. So thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.